There's nothing better than rolling up to the card shop, ready to sling spells, battle Pokemons, disc your duel, and digivolve large-breasted women with your buddies. Trading card games are amazing. It's like chess, but 15% of the time, you're going to lose because your opponent actually has randomly drawn into 5 queens and you have none. There's plenty of issues in trading card games, but more than that, they're tons of fun. And with how many different card games there are, each of them has a unique facet that makes them incredibly exciting to play. I'm going to break down my favorite parts of all the card games that I play, but invariably I can't talk about every single card game, so I'll leave you to the comments to tell me about the best parts of whatever game I wasn't able to mention in this video. The best part of Magic has to be the variability in gameplay styles. This is more of a discussion on Commander, but I think it applies to all formats in Magic. There are a ton of different ways to play the game. You have straightforward aggro, hit face hard and do it often. You also have control strategies, mid-range strategies, tribal strategies so that one type of creature will be the focus of everything you do, burn to ping your opponent for damage, mana ramp to climb to huge boss monsters very quickly, Voltron to build a big, beefy, unstoppable monster, token generation, infinite combos, the list just goes on and on and on. Magic probably has the most varied styles of gameplay compared to any other card game. Also, a huge plus in Magic is there are so many different ways to play the game. A lot of them have become eclipsed by Commander sadly, but even still you have a ton of different formats. You have Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Pauper, just to name a few. And all these formats are officially supported by Wizards of the Coast. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh! We have a couple extra formats as well. You have things like Common Charity and Underdog format, but no one really plays those. So sorry to the 5 Common Charity fans out there, but they're not well supported and it's really hard to find a group of people to play with if you enjoy those formats. But that's a non-issue with Magic because the fan base is so large and it's just so well established that there is multiple formats and people just regularly go out and play those. In Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, you pretty much just play Standard. Maybe there's a couple like Time Wizard formats or GLC formats that people might try out. But in most of the card games, you got the one format and that's it. Following up the OG card game is the biggest card game there ever was, Pokemon. There are 2 amazing things that make Pokemon a great game. Firstly is the ease in which new players can get into the game, and secondly is how perfectly it balances using energy for core game mechanics while not restricting your ability to play cards. Pokemon is arguably the easiest card game to get into. The game is considerably less complex than every other card game I'm discussing in this video, and there's practically no interaction between players on either turn. Now, this could be considered a problem or drawback for some who want more complexity in their game, but in terms of getting people to play, especially young kids, no one does it better than Pokemon. Even though it's very simple to learn, there's still a lot of skill in the game. There's a reason you see these same names continuously topping events. They're incredibly skilled players. But the skill in the game comes way after you learn the game. You can easily learn the game in under 15 minutes, play in a tournament setting, and never once have to ask anyone for help on the basic rules. All of the cards say what you can and cannot do. They tell you how many prizes to take if it isn't the regular one, and trainer cards even tell you when you are allowed to play them and how often. No other card game, to my knowledge, has the rules on their games printed onto their cards to help players. The second great part of Pokemon is their energy. Energy is an integral part of the game. Pokemon need it to attack, and sometimes you even see you need it to activate your Pokemon's abilities, like the incredible Radiant Greninja EX. But opening no energy in your opening hand doesn't mean you lose the game. Trainer cards are not bound by a mana system like in Magic, One Piece, or any other card game. You start a game with 0 energy and still play completely uninhibited. You have easy ways to search energy as well. Historically, you had Capacious Bucket. In the modern era, you also have Earthen Vessel. There are also tons of ways to bring it straight out of your deck with Stage 2 Pokemon like Vikavolt, Charizard EX, Grimmsnarl EX, and Metagross EX. Energy is needed to attack, which slows the game down enough, but you're still able to play and set up your board in the process, so it isn't something you need to see in your opening hand. I think this is amazing game design. It prevents games from going too fast, but still lets players play the game, unlike in other card games where if you don't see mana, well, you are mana screwed. Overall, Pokemon is a fantastic game for beginners and is designed so perfectly well, blending the slower style of gameplay with this mana system that does not restrict you from being able to play the game in the first place. Next is One Piece. One Piece has a lot of great things going for it. First of all, the Dawn system. The Dawn system is one of my favorite mana systems in any card game. Having your mana system as a separate 10-card deck from your main deck is fantastic. Every turn you get 2 Dawn cards, and they're not restricted by color at all. Even though a color system exists in the game, it has nothing to do with your mana system, meaning that every turn you're guaranteed to get a set amount of Dawn, and you have to worry about finding land or inkable cards or any kind of mana to play the game. You're guaranteed to see it. This is fantastic because it takes out a very unfun RNG part of most other card games, which is finding specific cards to play other cards. In Pokemon, they fixed this by having the energy not required to play cards, but for like Magic and Lorcana, you gotta find lands or mana system in some way, or else you just can't play the game. Or if you don't draw enough of them, even if you start with enough, that means you can't play those bigger cost cards later. One Piece fixes all that. You're guaranteed 10 Dawn by your 5th or 6th turn, depending on if you go 1st or 2nd, and you're always guaranteed to play those higher cost cards towards the later part of the game. The other fantastic thing about One Piece is the leader system. Every deck has a leader. It exists separate from your main deck. It has a specific color, specific life, specific attack, and their own unique effect, and is usually the build around for a deck. This is amazing because as a new player, as you're getting in, it's very easy to see like, okay, what does my deck do and what is my overall strategy? Your leader tells you all of that. For example, let's look at OP01 Zoro. It's a red leader, 5,000 power, 5 life, Dawn X1. When a Dawn is attached to it, all your characters gain 1,000 power. Okay, so this is a very aggro deck. I can only play red cards in this deck, and with 5 life, 5,000 power, it's pretty run-of-the-mill leader. And so I know I need a very aggro strategy with a lot of guys that can come out quickly, so I can hit into life very fast, because that 1,000 power boost is a very simple effect, so it means I should be very aggressive. What's really nice about the leader mechanic is it's how the game is balanced. You can have some really strong cards that are locked into certain colors or certain leaders. For example, you have the 6-cost Luffy card. This would be a staple in every single deck if it was generic, but because it's locked into being purple and also only multicolored decks, it is balanced a lot more. You also have leader effects that are going to be kind of crazy broken, such as the blue and purple Luffy card. It has 3 life and 6,000 power, but with its strong effect, it's balanced out by having a much lower life total. And so you're able to see that, okay, these stronger decks are going to have some drawbacks, maybe more life total, more attack, but a very meh effect, or a really strong effect and a high attack power, but a very low life total. You also see that with Vegapunk. It only has 2 life, but its ability is that you get to add more cards to your life consistently. And so it's a really fun way how they balance their leaders and their effects in the game. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is in a very unique spot. I feel like no one hates on Yu-Gi-Oh! As much as Yu-Gi-Oh! Players and supposed Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans. But the game has a ton of great aspects. No mana system means your entire deck is a toolbox to play with, and games are very skill intensive, while requiring intense focus on both your cards and your opponents the entire game. Now, that's also a barrier for entry for new players, but part of the appeal of the game for established players. The other great thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that it never rotates its cards. Now and again, this can be a drawback as it encourages more power creep in card design, but from the casual player standpoint, you can bring out whatever deck you want from the game's entire history, update it with a few newer cards here and there, and then bring your favorite strategy from 5, 10, 15 years ago to a tournament. In Pokemon, once a card rotates, you can say goodbye to it forever, especially since their expanded format hasn't had a ban list for years, and I don't think I've seen of an expanded format tournament anywhere in the US, I want to say in at least 6 years. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. The final game I want to talk about is, of course, Chaotic. If you've been around the channel before, you know I love this stupid dead card game from over a decade ago. Chaotic blends the elements of chess and card games together really well. You set up a board of 6 creatures attached with battle gear and duke it out against your opponent by moving your creatures across the board, and when they land on an opponent's creature, they battle. The best part of Chaotic is that there's no setup. You get straight to the action. Unlike other card games where you have to manage mana to cast cards, set up your board, Chaotic has you set up as a part of a deck design. You build a complete board from the get-go, and from there you have to figure out how to best break your opponent's board and win the game. The main skill in the game comes from deciding what creatures do you need to kill first, what resources can you afford to expend now, and which ones do you need to save for later. It makes the game really fun and a nice break from other games where you spend half your time just trying to find the cards you need in order to actually play the game. There's a half dozen other card games I could not get to in this video. Don't worry, I'm getting around to them. Flesh and Blood is at the top of my list for games to try out next, and there's probably about 5 more I need to get to eventually. Someone just mentioned an Elder Scrolls card game that I need to try out. But let me know what other videos you want to see, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think the best part of any of the card games I mentioned, or the ones I didn't, really is. I'd really appreciate all that, and have a great day.